what's up guys? Today we're going to talk about having chickens right in your backyard in the city of Kamloops. Stay tuned. Hey guys, it's Labrie Borthistle here with Kamloops Country Living. This is my weekly video series and thanks for tuning in. Today we're going to talk about having hens, chickens, specifically hens, in your backyard when you live in the city of Kamloops. So back in 2015, the City of Kamloops determined that having hens in people's backyards within certain restrictions and limitations would be a good idea. So they were looking at it from several angles. So they were thinking that there's a lot of benefits to having urban hens. You know, they're not super noisy, despite popular belief. They can be a little bit smelly, but nothing that's going to waft into your neighbor's yard or anything. And they are a great source of food security, and they do eliminate waste too, because you can feed some kitchen scraps to your chickens as well. They will eat, they'll do a great job at insect control, worm control, and things like that too. So the city determined that it would be a good thing if people were allowed to have hens in their backyard. So today I'm going to talk about some of the things that are required if you do want to have hens by the City of Kamloops, and some of the things that you want to keep in mind. Okay, let's talk about some of the regulations that the city has put into place. So first and foremost, you have to have a yard space, a backyard space that is at least 370 square meters, or about 4,000 square feet in size, which is an average sized city lot for sure. Maybe a little on the small end, so you don't have to have as much room as maybe you think. And then as well, you have to be on a single family lot or a duplex lot. So important to have that yard space. And then you do have to have a fenced yard. So the fence has to be at least 1.2 meters tall, upwards of 2 meters tall as well. So important for a lot of reasons is having a regulation coop. So the city has set out regulations that dictate what the coop looks like, which I'll talk about in a minute. And then as well, you can have about a minimum of 2 hens up to a maximum of 5 hens. So you can't have a whole bunch, but you can have a few, and enough to feed a family with the eggs for sure. And then no roosters allowed. So obviously roosters make noise, so no roosters and no chicks. So those are the primary regulations that the city has put in place. Okay, let's dive into the coop regulations. So the city has determined that healthy living space for a hen is going to be about half of a square meter, or 5 square feet per hen inside the coop, and then about 1 square meter per hen of outside of the coop, but in an enclosed area of living space per hen. So that's about 10 square feet for space that they need. They also need a place to nest and a place to roost. So roosting is sort of when they're hanging out and just perched on something, whether it be like a tree branch or a swing of some kind. And then a nesting box is where they're going to lay their eggs. Another factor is that they need to be well secured and protected against wildlife and predators. So that is the concept of having the coop, and then a little bit of a covered, fenced off, secure area that they can kind of just roam, where they have a little more space. So some of the other regulations that the coop has to follow are that it can be no bigger than 10 square meters, or about 107 square feet. And it should be in your backyard. It should be a minimum of 1 meter from the property lines. It should be a minimum of 3 meters from any doors or windows of a house. And it should be no taller than 2 meters off of the ground. So they definitely have some ideas of what the coop should look like. A couple other things to keep in mind. The food storage should be in a wildlife safe container, and you can't keep more than 180 liters of it on site on your property. And then as well, if the hens do die, they can't be picked up in curbside pickup, but they should be taken to the landfill or call animal control for removal. All right, and the city has been kind enough to give us 11 easy steps to follow if we want to get hens in our backyard. So step number 1 is definitely learning about hens and chickens and proper care and what's required. You want to be a responsible hen owner. Step number 2 is understanding the regulations as outlined by the city. Step number 3 is registering with the city. So they have set up a self-registration process. It's free, it's required, and you just go to kamloops.ca/urban-hens to do that process. All right, step number 4 is going to be to build the coop according to the guidelines as set out by the city. Step number 5 is going to be to gather the supplies. So you're definitely going to need feed and dishes for food and water. Typically they need to be up off the ground, otherwise they will kick and dispose of their waste in the dishes, and then they won't eat or drink the water. And then as well, they need pine shavings for the floor of the coop, and that'll have to be cleaned out on a regular basis. And then as well, some straw for the nesting boxes, so they're nice and comfy when they are laying their eggs. And then step number 6 is going to be to actually get the hens. So make sure that you're using a reputable dealer or someone that you trust, so a friend of yours, what have you. Just make sure you know and trust the people that you're getting the hens from. Okay, step number 7 is the fun part, harvesting and eating the eggs. So in an urban environment, the eggs that you harvest are for your own family's consumption. And you're not allowed to sell the eggs, you're not allowed to sell the meat, you're not allowed to sell the manure on any urban hen situation that you have. Step number 8 is going to be to care for the hens. So making sure that they have the attention that they need if you're going to go out of town, making sure that someone's coming over to take care of them, feed them, water them, and make sure they have healthy food, have a clean living environment, and a well-maintained coop. The coop should be free of manure, various smells that might be wafting around, and they should be free of pests. So you really want to keep an eye out for mice and other rodents that might want to sneak into that coop for sure. Step number 9 is keeping the food secure and locked. That feed can be, again, a rodent and pest attractant, so keep it, and wildlife attractant, so keep it safe, keep it locked in a wildlife resistant dry container. All right, step number 10 is to protect your hens from the wildlife and from predators that might attack. So be aware that bears, raptors, cougars, even some common house cats will attack chickens given the opportunity. So they should be really well protected. You might even want to consider electric fencing if it does persist to be a problem. And step number 11 is making sure that you're disposing of deceased hens or unwanted hens properly. So you can't put them in your garbage, as I mentioned. You can not bury them on your property. You need to call animal control or dispose of them in the landfill. And then if you want to get rid of hens, you should contact local suppliers and farmers to make sure that they are sold or gotten rid of in a safe and effective manner. All right, so that was all about owning hens in the city of Kamloops. There's a lot of benefits to it. You're gonna have increased food security, local food sustainability. Yeah, you can teach your kids about owning and raising animals. You're gonna reduce your municipal waste because you can feed your hens some kitchen scraps, and you can use their manure as fertilizer and compost into your garden. And then you can also reduce your need for pesticides because chickens love to eat insects. So a lot of reasons to have some are kicking around for sure, and you know, it's a great experience and you're gonna love having them if you do. So that was this week's video. I hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to like, subscribe, leave a comment. If you have chickens, let me know how it goes. And you know, if you don't love having chickens, love to hear about that too. So thanks a lot, and we'll see you next time.